But even with 3, I didn't find that I was using the third screen quite as much. 2 though all the time. So, you know, it definitely helps to have 2 screens, that's for sure. Again, this one we have to change the textures on, so let me I'll pull in a bit here. I'm going to save my file here because I don't trust Macs and I don't trust the plugin not to crash Macs. So as I've been saying all along, save regularly and that way you won't lose any work. Don't rely on autosaves in programs. I actually have autosave turned off in 3D Studio Max because it tends to slow down my workflow when it autosaves. It sort of freezes the program for a few seconds up to a minute. I don't like that, so I do it all manually. But make sure you do save regularly. And don't, if you do have autosave turned on, don't just rely on autosave. Because trust me, I've done it. There's nothing worse than working for hours and then having a program crash and lose all that work. And the second thing, there's nothing worse than actually accidentally deleting something from your hard drive that you didn't mean to. I've done that too. I'm getting really sick of having to change all these textures by hand, so I'm going to see if I can't assign textures. Yeah, I guess ZBrush does have a good autosave. I'd still recommend doing it manually though, even if it has a good autosave, just to be on the safe side. All it takes is, 2 seconds to hit the save button. Do it manually as well. Okay, let's see if we can't do something with this nonsense that's happening with this model here, with these textures. Just going to move that one off to the side here. You can imagine it writing a 1.2 gig file even on, yeah, no it does, it slows your workflow down. That's why I turn it off. I don't turn autosave on in any program because I don't like having my workflow interrupted while it's saving out. I find that more annoying. That's why I do it manually. I'm going to go change the Nightbot too, it's really spamming my chat. I'm going to select that. I've saved my program out so if I crash Max it won't be the end of the world. Good. Now I'm just going to assign these materials now that I've created a couple of versions of them. I don't have to go in and manually assign them all again, so I just select the object that I want to retexture and then assign a material to it. Let's try this one. You'll notice that my leaves have disappeared here. I'm not sure why that's going on. Just give me a minute here. I'm actually going to isolate those that vine so I can get a better look at it. Okay, we have an alpha map here. Oh, actually, I'm going to remove these because these are the old leaves that we're not using. That's the bark. That's the bark, which I still haven't assigned a texture to. I'll do that in just a minute. Just going to do a quick render on this to see if the leaves are in fact, see the leaves are actually there, it's just not showing up in the viewport for some reason. Just make sure I'm going to zoom in here on a part of the leaf and do a render again. This is just a scanline render. I'm only doing it to make sure that the actual texture and leaf is there, and it is. I don't know why it's not showing in the max viewport, but it is actually there. I'll make sure I have show turned on for both of those. No show realistic, show shaded, that should be fine. There really is no reason the Mac should be doing that. I don't understand why it is. It's not a problem with the model. As you saw with the render, the leaves are actually assigned. It's just not showing up in the viewport. So let's just keep retexturing here. I'm going to go back out of isolation mode. And we'll assign these materials. I've done the same thing. It's just, you see how the leaves are showing up now that we've moved on. It's obviously just some quirk that's happening here in Mac's viewport. Let's just keep going and assign the textures to the rest of the model. And we want these ones here at the back. That one there. Okay, I think we've textured them up, changed the textures around on all of them. I'm just going to double check to make sure. Yep, they're all using the right texture. And they're all using the right texture. And that one is using the right texture as well, so that's good. Okay. So, just to recap what we've done, we've grown our ivy, we've changed the flower colour to a red, just so it shows up a little bit more dramatically against the texture of our background model here of our garden terrace. I swapped out the leaf colour, the leaf texture itself, to something a bit higher resolution and a little bit darker. I've converted all of the grow ivies to edit polys. They're all separate pieces, and I'll keep them as separate pieces so that people can remove them if they want to when they download the model. Again, I'm going to keep the angel statues as separate objects as well, so they can be removed or moved if people want. Probably as well as the urns. But let's just save our file again now that we've got our ivy done. And I don't know if you can notice, but the leaves here look a little white in the background. That's just an alpha issue that's happening in the viewport. Once they go into Eon View to be rendered, they'll render up properly. It's just a visual glitch here in the viewport that's happening. Makes them look a little white around the edge. It's just the alpha map. But the alpha map is correct, trust me, I've used it before. I've used these leaf textures before, so I know they work properly. Again, it's just a visual glitch in the viewport here. Because you notice as I zoom in closer to the leaf, that white haze around the edge of them goes away. So now that we've done our ivy, flowering ivy, I want us to do a little bit of housekeeping here and make sure that anything that's grouped that shouldn't be is ungrouped, and everything has a unique name, so that if I have to come back at any stage down the track to do any work on this model, I don't have like box 60, 74 or 140 to contend with and try and work out what they are. It's always a good habit to get into, just to make sure everything's named correctly, and that way it'll make your life 10 times easier if you ever have to come back and work on the model again. So I'm just going to select these pieces here and find out, when I select it in the layer manager here, it highlights what the object is, which is that blue object there. And it's just a question of going through and renaming it, so I'm going to call this one, it's on the right hand side, it's an inner curve, so I'm going to call it inner curve, B for banister, R for right. inner curve, B for banister, upper right, and O for outer. Just going to copy that name so I don't have to type it out again. I just have to change a few letters on it. We're going to call this one inner curve, B for banister, R for right, and I for inner. I already named this one banister curved inner. So I've got a bit ahead of myself here. And this one it's going to be banister left, O for outer. I'm just going to rename this one to match our other three. So it's going to be banister, L for left, and I for inner. Okay, what's the next box here on the list? Right. These ones are on the outside edge now. So yeah, you see what I mean about this, these textures here, on the leaf textures themselves. From a distance they look like they've got a bit of a white haze around the outside edge of them. But you'll notice if I zoom in on them, they're actually okay. It's just a visual glitch in Max's viewport. Anyway, let's get back to what we were doing. These banisters here. Banister curved outer. Okay, we're going to call banister curved outer. We're going to start numbering them as we move around. So we'll call that one. Okay, it's not correct. You mean, are you saying okay for the leaves or for... We'll call that one 1, we'll call this one 2. 3. 4. And yes, I can count, as you can tell. 5. And 6. It just helps me to remember where I was up to. 7. The visual glitch, cool, yeah. I just thought I'd point that out in case people were looking at it and thinking, what is that weird white fuzz that's happening around the outside of the leaf? Yeah, it's to do with the alpha map. It's not a problem with the texture, it will render up fine. It's just a problem in the viewport and maps. It's not a huge problem, it's only noticeable. The further away from the leaf you get, the more you notice it, but the closer to the leaf you get, the less it disappears. So. What was I up to? 7. Okay. 8. I know doing this sort of thing is boring for you guys, but it's really important. You don't want to have everything just called box or group. It's not a good way to work, and it's good to get into the habit of making sure that your model is named correctly. The same thing goes for Photoshop when you're working with layers. You want to make sure that they're named correctly as well. And that's particularly important if you're doing work for other people, or you're passing your file on to other people, because you might know what the different R395X or box 21 is, what it is, but other people won't. So get into the habit of making sure you go through your model, good housekeeping, make sure everything is named correctly. Because I used to be the same. I used to think, oh, it's not that important, but when I started working in studios, believe me, it is. And they won't like it if you give them a file that's just got box 1, box 25, cylinder 6. And it will make your life easier, like I said, if you have to come back and do some work on the model in the future, you know, in say 6 months or whatever, and you've forgotten exactly what's what. Almost back around again. 18. And 20. So we know we have 20 of those curved sections at least. And I'm just checking that I named that large piece here at the back. Yeah, I did. Good. Okay. Let me have a look through my list here from the top. Angel statues, banister, column, curve, banister, center stage. Now what are these groups? Okay. Right now, these are grouped because when I made them, as I was explaining to you guys, to create anything, a sense of realism, you'll notice these aren't particularly completely straight. Some of them are larger at the top than at the bottom. The gap at the bottom is smaller than at the top here. That's because when I made it, I made individual pieces and I moved them out of alignment on purpose so that they look more natural. You don't want them completely straight and completely all the same because it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look real. It doesn't come off a production line. People made these things, so just having these slight variances in the position of them and the angle of them helps to sell the realism of it. And that's why they're grouped, because they're all individual pieces that I created, that I moved by hand. So what I'm going to do is select them all now. Oh, come on. And I'm going to attach them all. Now I'm going to keep this model as an unattached model, and then I'm going to attach everything and call it attached. The attached version is the one that I will take into Eon View to do the renders on. But I am going to attach all these pieces together because they shouldn't all be separate anyway. To make my life a bit easier too, I'm going to go into isolation mode again. I'm going to ungroup them all. I'm going to throw down an edit poly. And just start attaching the pieces together. I just go into isolation mode so I don't accidentally select another part of the rest of the model I didn't want to attach. I could attach list here, but and also in the utility tab here there is a collapse selected, which will collapse everything down into one object for you, but I've noticed on occasion it can actually mess up your art textures by doing that, the UVs. So again, this doesn't use completely the same texture. There's about 2 or 3 different variations on the texture I'm using through here, just to make the model look a little bit different. So if you were using one texture, you could probably jump into the utility tab and do a collapse all. But yeah, if you're using multi-materials, I've noticed it can cause problems, and you can mess up your UVs by doing it that way. It's not a big deal generally, just to take your time and attach them bit by bit. Because yeah, I've fallen into that trap before. I thought to myself, I'll just use the collapse command and it'll be good. No. You know, I'll save myself what's going to take me here maybe 3 minutes at max to select these manually. I'll save myself 3 minutes, yeah, sure, and then take another 20 trying to undo the problems that that command created. So. Rotate around a bit here so I can see what I'm doing. You don't have to do them in the order, you can do them in any order. Generally just do them in the order that I'm moving around the model. So. And that one there. Oh, looks like I forgot this one here, so. A good example of not having to do them in order. And we're going to call this iron railing. And now we'll exit isolation mode. We'll keep working our way down the list here. What's this SP new? I'm not familiar with that. What is that? Okay, that's the supports here. I don't know why I call it SP support fixed. What is this one? Okay, it doesn't look like I named my supports, so let's do that. Let's start here, I think. We're going to call it support B for balcony and 1. I'll just start numbering them that way. 2. I did call that one support, okay. 4. Before I number this one, I'm just going to copy it without the number in there.
Take my hand and we'll combine our sparks. Watch as we sew together, you and I, as we make our getaway into the sky. Oh, we're shooting stars in the night.
Makes us just a bit slow there, a bit too fast for it. And I lost my count, am I right here? Yep, 15, 16, 17. Here we have a lot of these supports, don't we? 19. Any weakness to your decomposing face into flame? It doesn't look pretty bad. Let's have a look. So you're decomposing the face into flame. It reminds me of do you guys ever watch what's that show called? Red Dwarf. The robot in Red Dwarf. He's got a face similar to that. That's what it reminds me of. The robot from Red Dwarf. I knew it would come to me eventually. So we're up to 20. 21. 22. Thankfully we only have to do this once. Oh, damn it. Don't you tell me. Oh, damn it. Your link has been copied into my model. Not your fault, my fault for not paying more attention to what I was doing. 21. Three. 4. 30. Almost back around again. This is what I mean though, you wouldn't know what VIF 5676N is, so numbering them just helps. Naming them I should say helps a lot. 33, 34. Come on, Max. The Max is getting a bit sluggish on me and I'm always wary when it does that. Okay, we're up to 43. And Back around into the middle again. Perhaps 40. One more. And 54. Alright. Okay, let me have a look through my list here and see how we're going. What are these groups here? Okay, stairs. No? What are these groups? Lamps. Alright. I kept them ungrouped because, as I was explaining last time, initially I had them all in line with the back one here, with the larger one, but I thought it was more interesting to pull them forward slightly. It just created a more interesting shape to the lamp. So what I'm going to do now though is I'm going to attach them all. So I'm going to isolate my selection again. They're grouped, so I'm going to ungroup them. And I'm going to start attaching the pieces together. Match material to material ID. And this is an example of why you really wouldn't want to use the collapse command, because Max will choose something at random and it will mess everything up for you. Just take the time and do it by hand. Although I was going to say you could attach list here probably. You could use the attach list command here, but I'll keep going because I'm 3/4 of the way there now anyway. When we come to do the other side, I may use the attach list command. We'll see that in action, see if that works. Before I do that though, I really should save the file, but I'll continue attaching these first and then we'll save our file. Because I really don't want to renumber 50 of those supports again, or rename 50 of those supports again. Don't you crash. See what I mean? Alright. This is why I hate Max sometimes. The only work I think we would have lost would have been the naming of those supports. You see how it didn't offer to save the program, it just completely crashed it. I'm going to close down Photoshop here as well. No. I think we may leave it there for today, guys. What I'll do is, off stream later on, I'll go and rename what we just lost in that crash, so that when we come back tomorrow, the pieces that we worked on today, the renaming is all done again. We don't have to go sit through that again. So yeah, I'll work on that now, and I'll be back on again tomorrow at 5 PM Pacific time in the US, 12 PM in Australia, 1 AM in the UK. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you hanging out with me and watching me work. And popping into chat and saying hello, that's always nice. Yes, Leakness, before I go. Remember guys, you want to show me your sculpt real quick, yeah? Sure. Pop a link in the chat. As I say guys, I'm on, if you're not sure when I'm streaming, then keep an eye on my @PhilDoes3D Twitter page, because I post 15 minutes before I'm about to go live on my Twitter page. I always stream at the same time at 5 PM Pacific time in the US though, so I will be back on tomorrow at that time. If you want to pop the link into chat, Leakness, I'll have a quick look before I close down for the day. So yeah guys, that's like I said, a good example of why you should save regularly, and thankfully I did save all the work we did with the Ivy. It was just the renaming we lost. So let's have a look here. So this is a sculpt, Leakness. What is this character going to be? This was the initial one, I'm assuming, and then you you softened those lines a bit. Cool. I'm sure it'll get better. I look forward to seeing it once you've done a bit more work on it. Okay guys, thank you again for watching. Hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be back on again at 5 PM. Keep an eye on my Twitter page if you're not sure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. See you guys.